And let's get this series underway. Spawning up here in the top position, the terror of Europe. Give it up for Team Liquid's CLEM. And his opponent down here in the bottom, hailing from the frozen north. Give it up for SCARLETT. From the Shopify Rebellion, of course. And this is going to be an exciting matchup because CLEM is looking absolutely unstoppable in his region. Even some of the top Zerg players in the world, such as Cyril and Raynor, really hate playing against this guy because he looks so unbeatable in the matchup. And I think that's really just because he plays to the aggressive Terran style incredibly well. He is very good at kind of forcing the trades way faster than a Zerg player might be ready to deal with. In that sense that they're consistently making units, they're making it difficult to kind of switch things up, kind of expand, transition into the later stages of the game. So he just starts to overwhelm you in time, and that's why his playstyle is really fun to watch. It's very dynamic. Now, SCARLETT, I don't know if you guys remember a man by the name of No Regret a few years ago, but I think SCARLETT has taken a couple of those little tidbits of information that that man was able to give her, and you know, she can be quite aggressive as well. So it's really going to come down to, with these two players, who's going to be able to be the unstoppable force. Because both of them are essentially the unstoppable force. There is no immovable wall in this series. Now, ready to start things off, we do have that first Reaper going to be making his way across the map just to get a little bit of information, just to, you know, kind of put the little bit of fear of flash into SCARLETT right now. Gonna head straight for the mineral line here, but the Lings should be enough to kind of force this back. Pretty much just have to wait for the Big Mama Queen before you can really engage into this. No real overreactions here, and yeah, there you go. That Reaper being very, very careful with how he comes in. He's gonna just get out of there, and here comes the next stage. Racks into Hellions. Now bear in mind that, like I said, it's all going to come down to roughly the 3 base scenario for these two players, because that's when that real aggression starts for the Terran player. Once it gets up to 5 racks, the production just explodes. Now SCARLETT, she's getting the creep tumor out here. CLEM trying to go for a cheeky snipe, and he will be able to find it. So first blood in this series goes to CLEM. Now, that might not seem like the biggest of deals early on, but that is actually a huge deal, because that is like 25 energy on the Queen, meaning that there's going to be less energy for transfuses. There's going to not be as many tumors out, so it's going to spread slower. And look at CLEM, even just being very dynamic here, trying to get the Evo chamber down, but will not be able to. A little bit of a juke by CLEM. He's going to go straight for the main base, and already this is starting to do pretty good damage. 5 workers going down with a bit of lost mining time. So overall, aggressive move, but it definitely paid off there for CLEM. Now, SCARLETT is not dead by any stretch of the imagination. You can see just having to remake a lot of those drones, which she should be able to do if CLEM just kind of backs off for a minute. We do have the Baneling Nest on the way out as well, so honestly, a very safe, very methodical opening here from SCARLETT, as we do see these Hellions trying to make their way in. But yeah, this is a brick wall at this point. You're not going to be getting in there without taking massive damage. And look at that, even feeling perfectly content to just go heavy on the drone count. 14 drones were in the production tab, and with these queens just really not letting these Hellions get the time of day. The Banshee even has to back out because it did not have cloak in time. So just gonna wait for its buddy for a little bit of brunch in order to get some roasty, toasty drones. CLEM just kind of rotating around the edge of the creep, wants to keep an eye on it, make sure that it doesn't spread too far forward. Obviously Oxide is a bit of a smaller map, so once it starts to really explode, it's just really difficult to kind of deal with via all different avenues. But here we go, CLEM trying to make his way in. SCARLETT has set the trap and it is sprung. Unfortunately though, it looks like the bears may have chewed through it a little bit, as the Hellions did make their way out. And even though they're starting to get low on HP, really just the threat of them is enough to keep SCARLETT at home, and she is really bleeding out a lot of lings to try and deal with this. You know, 13 lings have gone down so far, so just consistently having to remake those and go up to a mutaden, this is very larva intensive for her right now. And guess what? CLEM is getting ready for his next big attack. Now basically with Terran players, you got this big ebb and flow. It's like a river with the waves beating off the banks. As, you know, once one attack stops, the second one is already geared up and prepped to go, so you're consistently having to be a little bit proactive out here. Now SCARLETT is on 73 workers, so that does mean she can kind of slow down and just start pumping out army units. But so far she still doesn't have access to Baneling. She is still trying to defend with just pure Ling. And albeit 32 Lings might be enough for a time, you really do want to start sprinkling in those Banes early. Otherwise, oh, you're just not going to have them in time. That being said, all of that gas is not going to waste, as 9 mutas on the production tab. Some more should follow relatively soon. Just going to try and make their way across the map and get a little bit of a backstabbing damage in. Kind of put the fear of Jaedong into CLEM. And if you guys don't get that joke, basically Jaedong is the god of Zerg, while Flash is the god of Terran. And as we do see, CLEM tries to go a little bit far off creep, but there is still plenty of Hellions here. He is just going to back off, though, because he doesn't want to overextend his forces. The mutas have made their way in, starting to do a little bit of work. 4 workers going down. But the attack in the front just has not stopped. The Widow Mine's getting a little bit of extra damage versus these queens, and there's just not enough of transfuse energy to make them pay. Link's gonna have to come in home to defend, and the mutas will be able to clean up one of those medevacs. But the next army is already here. CLEM is up almost 30 army supply, and those mutas trying to fight the Banelings, but those are not the targets you need to deal with right now. It's all of these Marines on the ground. And so while SCARLETT is trying to build up that Ling count, 34 more on the production tab, it's just not going to be enough. CLEM gets the tap out, and he will move on to game number 2 with the lead. So, obviously, I'm expecting nothing to really change from CLEM. This is obviously the ESL Open number 85, so you don't really want to kind of pull out the aggressive, cheesy moves. You just kind of want to play straight up, use these games as practice for going into, say, DreamHack or any other premier event. So I don't feel like he's really going to change it up too much. The way I see this one going, is obviously cha-la-la-la-la-la. I don't know the context for that, but obviously CLEM is French, and that's the French caster. But yeah, from SCARLETT, she had all of the tools. She had the Baneling Nest out at a good time, but you saw she didn't really start producing the Banes because she was saving up so many minerals, or gas rather, for the Mutalisks. And that really hurt because as those fights were going on, she was just bleeding out units, while CLEM wasn't really taking a lot of damage on his own. By the time of that first big attack with the Hellbats with the Marines, it was just a little bit too late to kind of blow up in the Baneling count. So she didn't really have the tools fast enough is what I'm trying to say here, but this time I'm sure there'll be an adjustment as we do see the Reaper. Gonna try and come in here, just trying to focus down these Lings, but the Queen should be able to shoo that away and then drop the tumor. But CLEM just being very annoying right now. He wants to get that first snipe, but in the end we'll take a little bit too much damage and we'll have to back on out. Next stage for CLEM is he did go for a very fast third CC, so he's going to really be looking to pump up his economy very, very quickly with 3 SCVs at a time. And I don't blame him. Like we saw, it's very easy to kind of ramp that up with there's no pressure from the Zerg when there's not really a chance. So getting that early before the Zerg has a chance to kind of be aggressive, very, very nice. Hellions trying to make their way in, but this time they are denied, so there will not be any drone damage in this little attack. He does take a lot of damage on those Hellions. Now, one thing to note about these Hellions is we have seen Terran players be a bit more passive with them in terms of how they're being utilized. Like back in the day, we used to see them kind of be sacked a lot more in the early game to get that kind of drone damage, but these days we see Terran players kind of using them to build up that first attack, making it so much more powerful with the stim, with the combat shields, with the usually +1 as well. And yeah, so far nothing really too much to say either. We do have a little bit of a cheeky burrow though coming on in for SCARLETT, as this Banshee going to be trying to do what it can. But you know, I kind of like this. If we all remember, SCARLETT's crowning achievement was the game on a habitation station, where we did see her utilize burrowed banelings to great effect versus Bomber. So we'll have to see if you can relive some of that magic as these Hellions just kind of dancing around looking for an opening, but not going to be able to find it too much. Hold that thought though. Thinks about it for a second and decides against it. Very nice pickoff right there. Banshee trying to get what it can done. It is out of cloak though, so it will have to retreat. The Hellions actually chasing down the Lings far onto the creep. They will get surrounded, but that is going to be a very Pyrrhic pickoff for SCARLETT, losing quite a few lings to those Hellions. Now behind this, SCARLETT is droning up, trying to get to that 70 to 80 worker supply where she can just explode in terms of unit production. But CLEM is already up to 5 ranks. He's got plenty of Widow Mines attached to this army. And did he build an armory? No, he does not have an armory this time. But this is actually something that SCARLETT has to be very careful if she wants to engage into it, because while she has the Baneling Nest, she is just now building Banes. So this is going to allow CLEM to get into a very nice position between the 3rd and 4th. And one Widow Mine gets a little bit too close for comfort, but CLEM gonna try and get on top of this base. If he can focus fire down this Overseer, it would be fantastic, but there are 2 in reserve. So CLEM will back off. Now keep in mind, he does have 1 mine here, but a very good move by SCARLETT. Gonna save a lot of these units. Small Baneling run by doesn't really get a ton of damage over here, but does kind of show CLEM that, hey, I can do run bys too. I can be aggressive. I think CLEM attacked his own units right there. Now CLEM up 20 army supply right now. That is never a comfortable position for the Zerg player to be in. You do see CLEM trying to make his way in once again, but this time there is plenty of Banes, plenty of Lings. The Widow Mine does go off, getting a small chunk, but not really enough to say that CLEM is going to get much further in this attack. 28 Lings, 22 Banes on the way. And I think SCARLETT should be able to hold this quite handily right now. Bear in mind, she still has that burrow, but has not utilized it just yet. I don't see any burrowed Banes out on the map. So I think maybe just drop a couple of those, but that is a huge Ling run by here as the main army gets lifted up. CLEM not paying attention. He will lose his entire mineral line here. 21 workers going down. And while he might be able to get this base, and SCARLETT isn't really reacting 100%, I don't know if know if that's going to be enough here. CLEM just lost so much of his economy. He's going to have to rely heavily on the mules in order to stay alive. Another base snipe for CLEM as well. He will be able to pick on up and get out of there. So he is keeping a majority of his army alive. Say just something on the monitor right here, SCARLETT. Getting ready for a counterattack. CLEM does get cleaned up on the left side, but the Widow Mines getting 10 worker kills of their own. CLEM, though, might lose his base for it. That was very costly for SCARLETT. You can see the supply has plummeted here, and CLEM, with double the army supply, is looking for the killing blow versus SCARLETT right now. And honestly, I think he might be able to get it. While 19 Banes are on the way, they are not going to be in time. Oh, this is so bad to see. Did a lot of damage. This is great. Gonna get a little bit more, but the reinforcements is enough to clean that up. And so without +2, without any little sneak attacks, even with a big explosion right there, CLEM takes the game. He goes up 2-0 in this best of 5. Now, This might seem a little bit interesting, but I guess ESL does allow you to change your race mid-series. So we'll have to see. Scarlett's very good with her Protoss, has been able to win quite a few, primarily using it against other Zerg players, since, you know, ZVZ you can kind of just lose without ever really knowing why. But it's going to be interesting to see what strategy she decides to pull out here, because again, this is her last life in this best of 5. Now, nothing really changing here from Clem. He is going to skip the Reaper, obviously changing things up. The NG Bay as well. Just trying to be as big of a nuisance as possible. That's even going to force out a Zealot from SCARLETT, because she really, really wants this base. So I'd say already that is pretty nice, because it forces out that extra 100 minerals, and so it's going to slow down SCARLETT's build order just a little bit. And yeah, I can't disagree with that. Ooh, this is going to be Stargate. So Clem really has to understand that this is coming, otherwise you're not going to have enough units to kind of defend against it. What has he really seen in the base? He has seen absolutely nothing, but he does know that that Nexus is only just now being dropped, because this SCV was kind of on that side of the map for a long time, meaning that the fact that he doesn't have his own natural expansion, the fact that he has this faster factory, is going to be perfectly okay. He's not going to fall behind. Just kind of these little things that you have to think about here. SCARLETT going to be going for the good old Roddy build. Phoenix are on the way with those Adepts. Looks like Clem does want to move out just a little bit here. Will be able to catch that Adept if he's not careful. We cancel the Shade, of course. You don't want to lose it. But yeah, I think after Clem sees this, he just says, okay, yeah, I think you don't have a lot back at home if you're going to only send this one Adept out. He sees the Phoenix as well, which kind of just affirms that. And here we go. Let's see what Clem can do with this. Gonna just like that little second before a storm, the lightning is about to hit. We do have that robo facility coming down, a little bit of a panic transition almost, but Clem not gonna overextend. He doesn't want to lose this game on a technicality, so he will back on out. Will lose a Marine or two for it. At the end of the day, he does have a majority of his units alive. He's got both of his Cyclones available to him. And the Phoenix trying to fight not together, so he will lose one very, very quickly. The Adepts getting crushed right now. Oh, this just is getting worse and worse. SCARLETT bleeding out quite a few units here. But at the end of the day, Clem is not going to push his advantage. He is not going to overextend into that shield battery. He knows better than that. So SCARLETT gonna have to have a new trick, going up to the couple of Immortals for that defense, getting a couple of additional Phoenix as well to get some harassment in, and then from there we should see that Colossus transition. That is the natural transition of this composition. Cyclone's going to be able to shoo this away. Going to try and get the pickoffs here. Scarlet might lose that one Phoenix in the back, but will be able to save it. Another one in front, though, does go down. Now, CLEM has taken the army supply lead, but there is a bit of a timer here for these Marines, as we do have that Robo Bay coming on in. Floating to the surface as we are underwater. Yeah, there is almost no chance that this base stays up. Getting a little bit too far forward with that Phoenix. That will go down. And now we do see CLEM looking to tighten the noose. Stim is complete right now. Shield battery overcharge is on, but that is going to be a quick kill right there. There's not really much left defending this Immortal, and that is going to be it. GG is called. CLEM will take the series 3-0.